Rejection is not a stop sign. It's not the universe telling you to give up. It's not proof that you're not good enough. Rejection is simply information. It's feedback. It's data. And if you can learn to see it that way, you unlock a new level of power. Most people take rejection personally. They hear no, and they stop. They get discouraged. They shrink. But the ones who win, the ones who rise, the ones who make history, they understand that every no is a stepping stone. They understand that rejection isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path to it. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. Imagine every no you get is a number, and imagine that after a certain number of no's, a yes is inevitable. The law of average says if you do something enough times, results are going to show up. You keep showing up, you keep calling, you keep knocking, and eventually the odds shift. The numbers tilt in your favor. But you can't stop before the breakthrough. You can't fold after 5 attempts. You can't cry after 10 denials. You have to be willing to take 100 rejections just to get that one yes that changes your life. The problem is not that success is hard. The problem is that people give up too early. It's a numbers game, not a luck game, not a perfect timing game. It's a game of reps. How many times can you show up when it's uncomfortable? How many times can you hear no and keep going? How many doors can slam before you start building your own? The average person gets rejected and immediately questions their worth. But the uncommon one, the relentless one, the one with vision, they hear rejection and get louder. They hear no and keep it moving because they know every no gets them closer to a yes. Every failure is fertilizer. Every loss is a lesson. If you're going to make it, you have to flip the way you view rejection. Stop letting it define you and start letting it refine you. Rejection is showing you where the gaps are. It's pointing out where you need to grow. It's revealing what needs more work. That's data. That's valuable. That's gold. But if your ego's too fragile to accept feedback, you'll never access that next level. You'll never get better. You'll never close that deal. You'll never get to that dream if you let one know. Cancel the entire mission. The greats don't run from rejection. They run through it. There's no success story without 1,000 rejections behind it. There's no breakthrough without breakdown. There's no glory without the grind. You've got to be the kind of person that stacks those no's with pride, that tracks them, that embraces them, that learns from them, because the more data you collect, the more patterns you see, the more experience you gain, the sharper you become. You don't fear rejection anymore. You welcome it. Because you know what it's doing for you. You know the power in the process. You know every rejection is making you tougher, stronger, wiser, hungrier. You can't pray for success and run from the pain that produces it. You can't say you want greatness but quit when people don't believe in you. Rejection is not a reflection of your future. It's a requirement for your growth. Let people tell you no. Let the door close. Let the opportunity pass, but you keep moving, you keep reaching, you keep building, because you understand this is a game of averages, and if you play long enough, if you stay in it, your win is coming. You stack those no's like bricks and build a foundation out of them. You don't break, you build. You don't fold, you focus. You don't stop at rejection. You use it as redirection. You've got talent. Maybe even more than most. But let me tell you something that most people won't. Talent is never enough. You can be the most gifted person in the room, but if you don't show up every day with that same fire, that same grind, that same hunger, somebody with half your skill and double your consistency is going to pass you. Every time. Consistency is the real separator. It's the force that turns average into excellence. It's the daily decision to show up, no matter what the scoreboard says, no matter how you feel, no matter who's watching. The people who win, they don't win because they always feel like it. They win because they made a commitment that didn't depend on their emotions. You can't just show up when the lights are on. You can't just train when you're motivated. You can't just grind when it's convenient. You've got to be consistent when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's thankless. Anybody can give effort for a day. Anybody can post motivation on social media. But the question is, can you keep doing the work when no one's clapping? Can you keep waking up early when the results are invisible? Can you keep pushing when the pressure is high and the outcomes are low? That's what separates the consistent from the casual, the ones who live it from the ones who like the idea of it. Talent is potential, but consistency is what unlocks that potential. It's easy to rely on your gifts, to think your natural ability will carry you through. But natural ability fades if it's not sharpened. It rusts, it weakens, it becomes complacent. The ones who keep rising aren't always the most talented. They're the most obsessed with growth. They do it over and over and over again. They put in reps, they study the game, they find new ways to evolve. They're not in love with the spotlight, they're in love with the process. And because they show up day after day, when it's time to perform, they don't have to get ready. They stay ready. Consistency builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build belief. Every time you push through the excuses, you reinforce your identity. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who is. That's what consistency does. It transforms your character. It rewrites your story. It creates a version of you that doesn't flinch when it gets tough, that doesn't retreat when it gets quiet. That version of you keeps showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are now. If you're waiting for motivation to carry you to your goals, you're going to live in cycles, highs and lows. Start and stop, fire and burnout, but if you learn to build rhythm, daily, intentional, relentless rhythm, you create momentum, and momentum compounds. Over time, it stacks results. Over time, it builds discipline. Over time, it shapes mastery. You don't need to be spectacular today. You just need to be solid, and then solid again tomorrow, and the next day. Stack enough solid days, and one day people will look up and call it greatness. They won't know how you got there. They won't see the early mornings, the quiet grind, the constant pressure you applied when nobody was looking. But you'll know. You'll know it wasn't the talent alone. It was the consistency that carried you across the line. The ability to keep showing up with the same energy, the same effort, the same execution, long after the excitement wore off. You keep waiting on luck, waiting for that one big break. Waiting for someone to discover you, sponsor you, endorse you, or bless you with an opportunity that changes everything. But let me tell you something. They don't hand out championships for wishing. They don't crown kings and queens because they hoped for it. The people who make it, the people who dominate, they understand that this isn't about luck, it's about numbers. It's about volume. It's about how many times you're willing to swing before you finally connect. You don't need a miracle, you need reps. You don't need somebody to save you, you need to show up more times than anybody else. The law of average says the more you do something, the better your chances. The more shots you take, the more likely one will hit. But the issue is, most people don't stick around long enough to find out. They take 5 shots, miss 4, panic after the 5th, and quit. But the real ones, they take 50, 100, 500 shots. They understand that every missed shot is just one attempt closer to the make. They know success isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about wearing the game down. It's about chasing the yes through every no, and knowing that if you just keep going, eventually the odds will turn in your favor. You can't cheat volume. You can't shortcut consistency. If you want results, you've got to outwork the doubt, outwork the failure, outwork the fear. When someone says no, you don't take it personally, you take it as a cue to go harder. You go again and again and again, because this game rewards the one who won't go away. This game respects the relentless. You show me someone who wins, and I'll show you someone who kept showing up, who didn't just grind when it was easy, who didn't just work when the sun was out, who put in work on rainy days, on lonely nights when the crowd was gone and the cheers were silent. You want to grow your business, make more calls. You want to build your platform, create more content. You want to sharpen your skills, put in more hours. Stop asking for the cheat code and start multiplying your output. Multiply your discipline, multiply your focus, multiply your hustle. The more you produce, the more data you collect, the more you experiment, the more you learn. Every failure teaches you something. Every try gets you closer. But you've got to be willing to be bad before you're good, and good before you're great. That only happens with volume. You don't build confidence by talking about it. You build it by doing. You build it by stacking actions, by collecting proof that you are who you say you are. One rep, one move, one day at a time, and before you know it, people start to ask, how did they get so good? How did they blow up overnight? They didn't blow up overnight. They built in silence, they did the numbers, they stayed in the field, they swung when no one believed in them, they kept going when the numbers said quit, and now the law of average is blessing them with the results. It's not about being the smartest, or the strongest, or the most connected. It's about who can endure the longest, who can stay in the game after most have left. The more attempts you make, the more chances you create. The more doors you knock on, the more likely one opens. So don't slow down when you hit resistance. Don't get discouraged when the first few don't work. Don't wait for luck to find you. Go make your own by putting in so many reps, so much sweat, so much effort that success has no choice but to show up. The grind doesn't lie. The grind doesn't make promises it can't keep. It may not pay you on day 1. It may not reward you on day 10. It might not even recognize you for months. But eventually the grind always delivers. The problem is, most people don't stick with it long enough to cash in. They want instant gratification, they want microwave success, but the grind is a slow cooker. It's the unglamorous hours, the unseen effort, the silent sacrifices that nobody celebrates. It's waking up before the sun when there's no applause, no spotlight, no guarantee. It's doing the right thing again and again when the wrong thing would be easier, faster, and more comfortable. There's a reason greatness isn't crowded, because the grind is lonely. It demands more than most are willing to give. It asks you to stay disciplined when results don't show. It tests your patience, your heart, your grit. But here's what you've got to understand. The grind is the greatest teacher. It teaches you who you are when no one's watching. It teaches you how bad you want it when everything's working against you. And it teaches you that real growth, the kind that changes your life, doesn't happen during the wins. It happens when you show up in the dark, again and again, when nobody's clapping and nothing is working. Most people only work hard when they see progress, but champions work hard regardless. They understand that even when nothing seems to be happening on the outside, something powerful is shifting on the inside. The roots are growing, the character is building, the habits are locking in, and sooner or later, all that invisible work becomes visible. But you have to stay committed. You have to keep showing up, even when it doesn't make sense. Even when people question you, even when your own doubts whisper, is this even working? Because yes, it is working, just not on your timeline, not on your schedule, but the grind never forgets what you put in. You want to build something that lasts, something that matters, then you've got to build it on discipline, not emotion. You've got to build it with effort that doesn't take days off. That doesn't need motivation to move. That doesn't make excuses when it's tired. You've got to understand that the grind isn't just about getting the prize, it's about becoming the kind of person who deserves the prize. The kind of person who's earned it in silence, earned it in sacrifice, earned it in pain. And when the moment finally comes, you don't flinch. You don't fake it. You don't fold under pressure, because you've already been through worse. You've already been through the fire that forged you. There are two types of people, those who give up when progress is slow, and those who dig deeper. The ones who quit are always looking for results before they put in the reps. But the ones who grow know that results are just a reflection of their repetition. They fall in love with the work, not just the reward. They measure success not by how it feels, but by how faithfully they show up. That's the grind. It's not emotional. It's not romantic. It's raw. It's rugged. And it's real. And if you stay in it long enough, it transforms you. It teaches you patience, toughness, vision. It stretches you past your limits and into your purpose. Too many people quit because they think the grind isn't working. But just because the seed hasn't broken through the soil doesn't mean it isn't growing. Just because you haven't gone viral doesn't mean you're not valuable. Just because they don't see you yet doesn't mean your time isn't coming. But you've got to trust the grind. You've got to trust the process. You've got to believe that every drop of sweat, every late night, every early morning, every lonely hour is adding up. Maybe not in ways you can see today, but in ways that will break wide open when the season is right. Everybody wants to be great, but nobody wants to master the mundane. Everybody wants the spotlight, the big wins, the viral moment, but they ignore the power of repetition. They overlook the strength that comes from doing the small things with excellence every single day. You see, the truth is, greatness is not hidden in the big moves. It's hidden in the boring ones. It's hidden in the consistent habits, the unnoticed discipline, the commitment to doing ordinary things in an extraordinary way. The ones who make it to the top, they didn't just have talent, they had routines. They didn't just show up for the game, they dominated practice. They didn't just grind when it was exciting. They found rhythm in the routine. Success lives in the details. It lives in how you treat your mornings, how you approach your workouts, how you show up for the people who count on you. It lives in how you talk to yourself when nobody is watching. It lives in how you respond when the camera's off, the crowd is gone, and it's just you and your habits. The difference between average and elite isn't usually talent. It's how deeply someone is willing to lean into the basics. Because when you learn to love the process starts loving you back. When you learn to find joy in the simple reps, the reps start transforming you. Most people are always chasing something new. A new method, a new strategy, a new secret, but the truth is the old things still work. They're just not sexy, waking up early, studying your craft, practicing when you don't feel like it, preparing when everyone else is relaxing. That's the stuff champions do. They don't wait for inspiration to hit. They create it through action. They don't need external hype because they've built internal discipline. And that discipline comes from mastering the mundane. From showing up over and over again without needing to be entertained. There's a reason why legends in every field have routines, because routines create results. Routines create confidence. Routines remove chaos. You don't need to figure out everything overnight. You just need to win the day. You just need to take control of the hours you're given and commit to doing the best with what you have. Mastering the mundane means you don't just do the thing. You do it well. You do it with purpose. You bring your best effort even when nobody sees it, even when it feels small. Because small habits compound, and over time, small wins turn into massive momentum. It's easy to overlook the small tasks, to treat them like they don't matter. But champions know that how you do anything is how you do everything. If you slack in the small things, that same energy shows up in the big moments. If you're lazy in the quiet hours, that laziness creeps into your opportunity. The mundane things are where your character is tested. It's where your integrity is built. It's where your foundation is laid, and without that foundation, the spotlight will crush you. The platform will expose you. But when you've put in the work day in and day out, you don't break under pressure. You perform under it. You want to be consistent. You want to separate yourself. Start with the small. Dominate the routine. Take pride in what others ignore. Clean up the little things. Repeat the right things. Keep your promises to yourself. You do that long enough and you won't have to chase greatness. It will start chasing you. The difference is not who works the hardest once, it's who works the hardest every time, who's committed not just when it's fresh, but when it's familiar, not just when it's new, but when it's necessary. When you make peace with the process, when you fall in love with doing the same thing better each day, the results take care of themselves. It's not always about being the fastest, the smartest, or even the most talented. It's about who refuses to quit. It's about who stays in the game when everyone else is walking away. The law of average doesn't just reward talent, it rewards endurance. The ones who outlast are the ones who eventually outperform. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep showing up, keep swinging, keep pushing, because if you stay in the ring long enough, your shot will come. If you stay at the table long enough, the deal will drop. But you have to be there when it does. Most people lose because they leave the field too early. They give up inches before the breakthrough. They quit because it didn't happen fast enough or flashy enough. But the real winners, they outlast the frustration, they outlast the failure, they outlast the silence. It's not glamorous to stay committed when the energy is gone. It's not easy to keep going when the people you started with have tapped out. But that's exactly when your future is being built. That's exactly when your identity is being shaped. The ones who keep moving when it's tough, those are the ones who rise. Endurance doesn't look pretty. It's not flashy, it's not loud. Endurance is quiet. It's steady. It's that inner fire that says, I'm not done yet. It's that mindset that refuses to stop. It's not just about grinding hard once. It's about grinding long. It's about being the last one standing after the storms, after the trials, after the delays. You have to be willing to play the long game. You have to be more focused on the mission than the moment. You have to understand that slow progress is still progress, and staying in the game is sometimes the most powerful move you can make. You keep stacking effort. You keep collecting data. You keep learning from every setback. You don't view obstacles as endings. You treat them like tests. And every time you pass the test by not giving up, you become a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more unstoppable. Some people look successful because they started strong. But strength that fades under pressure isn't real strength. Real strength is revealed in how you handle fatigue, in how you keep showing up when your feelings try to shut you down. You may not be the best yet, but if you outlast the rest, eventually you'll get your turn. Eventually, the work you've been putting in will collide with opportunity. Eventually, your persistence will pay off in ways you never imagined, but you won't see that if you tap out too early. You won't receive what's waiting for you at mile 20 if you quit at mile 18. You have to have the endurance to finish what you started. This journey is not just physical. It's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's the battle between your will and your weakness, and you have to decide which one wins. The law of average says that if you keep showing up, if you keep doing the work, if you keep pressing forward, something is going to break. The dam will crack, the wall will crumble, but it doesn't happen on your first try, and it may not happen on your 50th. It happens when your endurance outlasts your obstacles, when your heart refuses to give in. That's how champions are made. Not in the highlight reels, but in the unseen hours where most people quit and a few keep going. You want the reward, you've got to run the race all the way through. You want the results, you've got to endure the resistance. And when others get tired and walk away, you stand taller, breathe deeper, and keep moving forward because you understand that in the end, endurance is the equalizer.